and facile. Thank you.
Just before I call the next member, to advise members of the House that this is a split call and the speakers will get a bell at 1 minute. I call the honourable member Ian Lees-Galloway.
Well, frankly, Mr. Speaker, I didn't think that I would see the day that I would agree with Maggie Barry, but I do now. She said this legislation repeals mad old legislation. Mad old legislation brought into place 2 or 3 years ago by that national government over there to try and encourage students to pay off their loans faster. What an absolute failure of legislation that has been. It was a bad idea at the time. Everybody knew it was a bad idea at the time, and finally, it's only taken them 3 years to figure it out that their legislation was mad old legislation. In the words of Maggie Barry, the national government has finally figured out that they need to repeal those changes that they made just 3 years ago. Mr. Speaker, this bill is an absolute admission of failure by this government. It is an absolute admission of failure. They have failed to grow the economy. They have introduced a zero budget with zero hope, zero ideas, zero ambition, zero growth for this country. And this bill, the Taxation Budget Measures Bill, is an admission that that zero budget is an absolute failure for this country. And they have been so poor at growing the economy that they now have to go hunting down the back of the couch. They have to tip the poor paper boys and paper girls on their heads and squeeze every last cent out of their pockets. They have to go and chase down the students, and not only are they repealing their mad old legislation for the students, but of course what we're also seeing is they're going to take away the student allowances for postgraduate students. Not 2 weeks after the government announced that all teachers were going to have postgraduate qualifications, they're now announcing that if you want to do a postgraduate qualification, you have to do that without a student allowance. My goodness, National hates teachers. Does this government not hate teachers? They've told them that they are not high quality, and now they're telling them that if they want to get their qualification, they're on their own. They're on their own. The government isn't going to support them. The government isn't going to support them. In fact, the government is actively disencouraging people to go into the teaching profession with that cut to student allowances. Mr. Speaker, what are we talking about in this bill? Well, we're going to see the paper boys and paper girls. Actually, Andrew Williams called this the Fagan budget. You can just see the poor paper boy going to Mr. Bill English and saying, "Please, sir, may I have some more?" It's poor old paper boy Oliver Twist. In fact, there's a few other Dickens novels. That I think are appropriate for this government and this budget. Hard Times. That's a Dickens novel that I think sums up the situation in New Zealand as well. Great Expectations. How about Great Expectation? Because every year the Prime Minister told us that the economy was going to grow. There was going to be 170,000 more jobs. Now it's 154,000 more jobs. It's shrinking, but they still got these great expectations that somehow by magic, everything is going to turn around. Great. A Tale of Two Cities. Well, indeed, A Tale of Two Cities. I think it's in the regions, from where I come from in Palmerston North, we think it's pretty much a tale of one city in this country. It's all about Auckland, roads of national significance. I'm sorry, but it's all about roads of national significance. You get completely overlooked in the provinces. No roads, no rail, no. The government isn't interested in what's happening for provinces like the Manawatu, and they have run out of ideas. The best they can come up with is this penny-pinching legislation that hammers the poor old paper boys and paper girls. They're copping it for the government's failure. They're taking away a few housekeeping rebates. They're taking away childcare rebates as well. Gosh, haven't they just chosen some delightful people to pick on? Haven't they just gone after Middle New Zealand getting absolutely hammered by this government because they have just failed year after year after year to meet any of the promises that the Prime Minister made. Absolutely empty promises, not based on any fact. We told them so at the time. We told them so. They refused to believe us, but this is it. This legislation, Mr Speaker, the Taxation Budget Measures Bill, is an absolute admission of failure from this zero national government.
I call the Honourable Member Catherine Delahunty.
Tēnā koe, Mr Speaker.
Tēnā koe.
Tēnā koutou te whare. I'm pleased to take a call on this bill because I'd like to